Today, we're going to unpack a really powerful idea, one that's about 2,500 years old, that seriously challenges our most basic assumption, the idea of a self. It's a journey to figure out who or maybe what we really are. All right, let's just jump right in with a massive question, one we all think we know the answer to. When you point to yourself and say, me, what exactly are you pointing at? Our default setting, that gut feeling we all have, is that there's some permanent, unchanging core inside us, kind of like a little CEO in our head that's the real me, day in and day out. But what if that's not right? This whole explainer, which pulls from some very old teachings, suggests something pretty radical. What if you aren't a thing at all, but an ongoing event? A series of processes that we just mistakenly slap a label on and call a person? So to really get into this, we first have to figure out what this thing we call a person is actually made of. We need to break it down into its parts before we can really start to question it. So, the idea here is that our sense of self isn't one solid thing. It's a composite built from 5 distinct components, sometimes called the 5 aggregates. Think of them as the building blocks of our entire experience of being alive. Let's take a quick look at each one. First up, and this one's pretty obvious, form. This is your physical body. It's the flesh and bone, the stuff you can see and touch, the tangible part of the whole equation. Next is feeling, and we're not talking about complex emotions like love or jealousy here. This is about the raw, immediate sensations that are always happening. Is something pleasant, unpleasant, or just kind of neutral? Then you've got perception. This is basically the mind's labeling machine. It takes all that raw data from our senses and immediately starts categorizing it. It's what sees a color and thinks blue, or hears a noise and thinks car. The fourth piece of the puzzle is fabrications. This is a big one. It's all our reactions, our intentions, our thoughts, plans, biases. The stories our minds are constantly spinning about ourselves and the world. And finally, there's consciousness. Think of this as the basic awareness that lets us even know about the other 4. It's just the raw knowing of seeing, or the knowing of hearing, before we've labeled it or reacted to it. Okay, so we've got our 5 parts, right? Form, feeling, perception, fabrications, and consciousness. Now comes the fun part. We're going to put them to the test. This is where the deconstruction really gets going, and it uses a really simple but totally profound 3-question test. And the first test is super straightforward. Are any of these 5 things constant? Are they stable, permanent? Does your body or your feelings or even a single thought ever truly stay the same? And right away, you see this huge disconnect. We have this idea of a self that's permanent and solid, but when you look at the actual building blocks, they're all constantly in flux. Your body is aging, feelings come and go in a flash, and your thoughts are like a nonstop shifting river. None of it is constant. Okay, so if these parts of you are always changing, if they're fundamentally unreliable, the next logical question is, can that constant change ever bring us lasting happiness? Can it bring us a true sense of ease? And the thinking goes like this. Anything that's constantly changing is a potential source of stress, right? Because we can't rely on it. We can't count on a good feeling to last or our bodies to stay healthy forever. And that instability, that lack of security, is itself a subtle kind of stress. And this all leads to the big, knockout question that ties it all together. If these building blocks of your experience are always changing, and if they're inherently stressful because of that, how on earth can you point to any of them and say, that's me, that's myself? Now let's bring this down to earth with a really practical proof, something I think everyone, and I mean everyone, can relate to. This is where the idea really hits home. Just look at this. It nails the core argument, doesn't it? If your body was truly you, you'd have total control. You could just say, body, don't get sick, and it wouldn't. You could tell your mind, hey, don't feel sad, and you wouldn't. But we all know that is not how reality works, not even close. So the takeaway here is massive. This profound lack of control is the ultimate proof that these 5 aggregates are not who we are. And really getting that, not just as an idea, but really feeling it, is what starts to loosen our grip on them. So you might be asking, okay, why are we doing this? What's the whole point of deconstructing ourselves like this? Well, the result is described as a kind of freedom, an untangling. There's this great description from a meditation master named Ajaan Funn. He said that this mistaken identity, this clinging to the 5 aggregates as me, is like carrying a heavy, unnecessary burden around your whole life. And it's exhausting. See, the insight you get from this isn't just some neat philosophical trick. It leads to a genuine feeling of disenchantment. You start to think, wait, why am I clinging so tightly to this stuff? And from that feeling, a kind of natural letting go just happens. You can finally put the burden down. I absolutely love this metaphor they use. The whole process is like carefully, patiently disentangling a knot. By seeing each thread, the body, the feelings, the thoughts, for what it really is, just a temporary process, you can free yourself from getting caught in the noose of self-identity and all the pain that comes with it. And so, we're going to leave you with that very question. It's the provocative thought that this whole ancient process invites you to explore for yourself. After you've deconstructed everything you thought you were, what's left? Maybe, just maybe, the answer isn't a thing at all, but the freedom you find in the looking.